What's the biggest red flag when meeting new people? They don't listen to what you say and respond accordingly. They only wait for you to stop talking so they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. There's also the issue of people who won't stop talking in order for you to respond in any way. They have their own personal soliloquy. I have a friend who's so bad about this that I've just started silently timing them once they start talking to see how long they'll go without pausing to ask me something or allow for my input. Current record is 14 goddamn minutes. I know people that don't even wait for me to stop. Now imagine those people being your best buds. I don't need to imagine that. I've seen a lot of answers along the lines of when they say negative things about others, which I agree with by the way, but for me a huge red flag is when someone can't let someone else receive praise or be the center of attention. I've met people in the past who have shown small signs of jealousy when I've praised mutual friends, siblings, strangers, etc. And in each case it was indicative of bigger jealousy and self-esteem issues that led to some messed up stuff. The absolute worst is people trying to one-up another person's suffering. It's one thing to listen and say I have a similar experience, this is what it is so I can relate to what you're going through. But it's entirely another when it's you've sprained your ankle. I broke mine in 3 places and was on crutches for months. What you're going through is nowhere near as bad. Never, ever dismiss someone else's pain because you think you've been through worse. I call this the misery Olympics. I tell people that there's no need to compete in the misery Olympics and we can all be miserable together lol. I usually concede. Oh, yeah, that sucks way worse. Congratulations, you win. And exit the conversation, leave, or change the subject completely and abruptly. I admit, it's passive aggressive as shit, but frick it, if I'm not allowed to finish my story neither are you. I may steal this move. When you barely know them and they act like your best friend, then later ask to borrow money. Yikes. How to tell who is a leecher in minutes. I had a friend like that. He was in his early 20s, but seemed an alright guy. One day, out of the blue, he tells me, dude, I really need to move out of my parents' house, but I don't have any money. I need about $300. I just stood there for a second and then said, dude, I don't just have that kind of money. His response was, I know, but I also know you have other friends who do. Can you ask them for me? I ended the conversation and stopped talking with him from then on. We weren't even friends for very long, but I didn't need someone in my life constantly asking for money like that. I had a friend who had a mutual friend hit her up for $10k because she knew she had it. The chick was a grade A user and I'd picked up on it pretty quickly. I was the newer friend and distanced myself a bit from mutual friend when I saw the user tendencies. She was pretty selfish. Friend had recently been venting about all the ways this chick was inconsiderate and had been using her. So when this happened, I had to really talk her out of lending user friend the money, as did another mutual friend. Mutual friend was asking for it because she'd been acting like the stupid twit she was and put herself in a bind and expected everyone else to save her. Friend is one of those too nice types that just wants to help, but she finally said no. The speed in which mutual friend dropped her was astonishing, though not surprising, to me. It was a life lesson for friend since she's a bit sheltered and naive with people as a whole. She's learned to stand her ground more. Still working on the supporting losers bit though. She's getting there though. Subtle signs that they aren't remotely interested in you, and the only way you two are together is maybe because an obligation, favor. People change their tune often when they have to conceal their feelings of disdain for someone. What kind of signs would you list as examples? On their phone a lot, ignoring what you say, pretending to be busy with something else. Personally, it's pretty obvious when people are just faking being busy. I've been a victim of this and done this to other people. It sucks being on the receiving end of someone's disinterest, but some people just won't like you from the get-go and will just do the bare minimum to not be completely rude. Watch out for body language like avoiding eye contact and turning away their body from you. A polite voice, instead of their normal voice, is total indifference. Maybe this is because most of the people I know work service. They don't really listen to you or pay attention to what you're talking about. but expect you to be totally engaged with whatever they say and act put out if you aren't. The distracting noise coming out of that other person's mouth stopped. Finally it's my chance to talk about me. Yeah, it's like they are not listening at all, but just have an algorithm running that looks for keywords in your story that they can relate to one of their stories. That's why I am the master of that crazy and look really freaking interested even though I really don't care. Whoa, that's crazy. When they're judgmental and critical of others, but never of themselves. You know my father? Yay. I seen him at the store buying milk a few years ago. Is he still there? I think so. The lines were really long. Babies are being born, so the line keeps moving back. They had to build more store to fit the ever increasing line which just added more people due to the construction and I think it was a mistake coming to this IKEA. Everyone here talking about slightly negative people, but OP asked for the biggest red flag, so I'm gonna go with having a swastika scar on their forehead. When they start talking about the tons of money I am going to be making with their new business venture and selling knives door to door. This knife will cut right through your shoes. Well, pretend this shoe is whatever you people eat. Maybe it is a shoe. That's oddly specific. It's common as hell though. Vector marketing and MLM bullshit that is. They'd be on the same level as hardcore conspiracy theorists, where they think they're on the next wave of thinking when they're so far back in actuality. Cutco. Asking me to PM them my ankle. Massive red flag. How often do you actually get ankle pictures? Never. I'm going to see my uncle soon. I'll hit you up. Oh yeah, your uncle's ankles are definitely the bee's knees. If they can't take no for an answer. Yeah, I met someone, strictly platonic, recently who immediately got defensive when I said I couldn't take time away from my business at that time to do something social with them. They threatened to show up at my house and asked, what would you do then? There had been a bunch of red flags with this person leading up to this point, but that was where I was like goodbye, psycho. That's not how any healthy friendship, acquaintanceship works. Thank goodness I have enough good people in my life to recognize that. As teenagers I thought this was fun, friends dropping by and kidnapping you, or rescuing. A bunch of good memories started this way, spontaneous adventure. That kind of fun is not compatible with lots of adults yo. Friend of mine couldn't understand that my other friend might want some private time with his new girlfriend, and that showing up unannounced might not always be received well. Completely pissed him off, and he never got over it. My girlfriend has a best friend like this. The friend and I went back and forth for almost 10 minutes as I tried to explain why I didn't want to hang out with her and some other people. In her opinion, because I don't want to isn't a real reason not to do something. I'm terrified for anyone she has sex with, honestly. I have been this person. Therapy fixed it, but holy frick is it an exhausting, awful state of being for both the obsessive person and those around them. Hi, my name is, and I'm an asshole. Literally how the shop manager introduced himself to everyone. Like it's an excuse. People think I'm a bitch, but I'm really just blunt and tell the truth. They can't handle that. Nah, chances are you're just a bitch. That and the can't handle me at my worst, don't deserve me at my best types. If you can't handle me at my deadliest, you don't deserve me at my deadliest. When they try to one-up you in everything you say, what's the difference between sharing stories that relate to the original story and one-upping? Oh, you went to insert cold place here. Well, I went there at winter and it was recorded as one of the coldest days ever. Oh, you went to insert cold place here. Yeah, me too. Did you try insert local restaurant? It was nice. What did you do there? So the trick is to pass the ball back to the initial teller of the story. Hey, good summary. This is the takeaway you want, people. Reading through these comments made me realize I'm an asshole. First step in fixing a problem is acknowledging there is one. Being an asshole isn't permanent. Keep up the good work. The second step is not being one of those people who use I'm an asshole like an excuse. If you realize you do any of the stuff in this thread, and go oh, shit that's me, instead of mentally discarding it, as if it doesn't apply to you, doesn't count when you do it, then you're probably not an asshole. Nobody's perfect, and a lot of this stuff is very common. or easy to do accidentally. Too much information too quickly. People who divulge too much about themselves from the offset generally have pool boundary issues. I speak from experience. I am a recovering pool boundary haver. I do this, yikes. I'm also very intense in relationships and generally get attached to people too quickly. How do you develop better boundaries? When the first thing they tell you about themselves is all the hardship and unfairness in their lives. I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep. You pool man. If there's anything we can do to help you, I'd like to take all of your chocolate. Such nice boys. It does my heart good to unzip's costume con a couple of class A suckeronis like those two. I have a friend like this. She was crying about some guy she went on 2 dates with not wanting to continue to see her, and how her bike got stolen, acting like it was the end of the world. When I mentioned my dog having cancer and dying, the response I got was, yeah, but that's not that bad, because you have some warning ahead of time, and then continued on about how her life is worse than anyone else's because of mild inconveniences. She was also yelling at me this entire time like her bike getting stolen and someone not wanting to date her was my fault.